Necromancer. This video will be tailored to the condition damage of the Necromancer when it comes to general PvE. Now, Necromancer is one of the most powerful class when it comes to condition damage, and that has been since the release of Hearthstone expansions, and it's continued to do so at the time of me filming this video, obviously. And so a lot of people have been using this build, including myself, in both raid and in War v War and in general PvE. So it has so many applications that you can swap interchangeably. Now, I'm not going to be covering, obviously I'm not going to be covering any other game modes because the scope of this video is purely for the general PvE aspect. And so as usual, I'll be dividing this video into 3 sections. First one is about the equipment and why am I using that equipment. The second one, which is for the specializations, which is for the build itself. And the last one is all the recommendations or all the information that I may have for you guys. So without further ado, let's get this started. So for the equipment, I am using the full Viper set. Now, full Viper set has been using for the Necromancer for months at the time of me filming this. The reason for that is because it's not only providing the Necromancer with the ability to deal a lot of condition damage, but also for the draw power damage as well. As you can see in here, I have about 2233 for the power, which will increase my normal attack. But it can also providing me with a lot of condition damage as well, as you can see in here, 1609. And if I use my primary weapons, that will increase to 1760, and that's, you know, the power of the Viper set. I also have other alternatives as well if you are unable to obtain the Vipers, given, you know, any reasons that you don't have the resources or you don't have the expansion of Hearthstone. Then in that case, then I would highly recommend you to go for the Rampages, because the Rampages has the power, precision, and condition damage. You will be sacrificing a little bit of the damage, no, actually quite a number of the damage when it comes to the condition durations, because Vipers has the expertise, and expertise stands for condition duration. So the longer condition damage that you have on a particular target, the more damage that you will deal over time. So that's what the expertise will do to your damage, condition damage. And so alternatively, you can go for Rampages, which I will be including the link where you can get them for Karma. Actually, I'm just going to be showing you right now. It's in the right here, the Cathedral of Glorious Victory, and people usually call this to be the what's the name of that, Temple of Balthazar, if I remember that correctly. This one is the Temple of Balthazar, or you know, the proper name is the Cathedral of the Glorious Victory. All right. Back to the equipment. So either go with the Vipers or Rampages. Rampages is the alternative, obviously, and the Vipers is what I would highly recommend you to go for. For the rune, I'm using the superior rune of Berserker, condition damage, and draw damage power, and it also provides me with the 5% in the draw damage and also 5% in the condition damage. I will also put up, I think that I will put up a an image right here that will show you all the alternatives for the runes that you can also consider as well, depending on, you know, if you have the resources to go for the superior rune of Berserker, or if you don't, if you have any other runes lying around that matches with the one that I recommend on this, will be on this corner right here, then feel free to go for them, you know, because like as I said, if you have the Viper equipment, it should not, you know, the damages should not make that big of a difference. Between the runes itself, so don't stress too much about that. And for the weapons, I'm using Vipers, Scepter, and I'm using the Superior Sigil of Malice, and the other one, which is a dagger, which I am using the Superior Sigil of the Earth. And for the secondary weapon set, I'm using the Staff for AoE, because Staff has a lot of AoE spells that I can use to deal on the multiple targets. And I'm using the Superior Sigil of Corruptions, which will give me a 10 condition damage every time that I kill a foe, and so if I kill, let's say if I kill 25 of them, I will get 250 condition damage for my characters. And the second sigil that I'm using is the superior sigil of the earth, which is on about 60. I have about 60% chance on critical that will inflict the bleeding condition on the target. So that's something that I tailor my build into, because as you can see in here is a power precisions. Precisions can increase your your critical chance, and because of that, combined with these sigils, it will apply the bleeding stack on the target, and that's what I'm trying to have. Now the scepter will, you know, on the first skill, which is the, you know, your normal attack, it will automatically activate the bleeding, inflicting the bleeding condition damage on the target anyway, so you don't have to worry about giving a stack up. But in saying that, you should be, you know, using all of your skills except for this one, because there's a rotation for this, that you can use it effectively. So just a little bit of a skill. So as you can see in here, bleeding, also bleeding, torment, and again bleeding and weakness. This one is chill. Now chill, when you combine that with the deathly chill in the Reaper set, Reaper specialization, it will also increase, it will also apply the bleeding stacks on the target as well. So that is another bleeding stack that you can have for on the target. Alright, so why scepter and dagger? It's because scepter only, you know, obviously is automatically inflict the bleeding stack on the target. Now if you use the dagger to be your main weapon, it doesn't have any bleeding stacks, and because this build is tailored to the condition damage for the necromancer, it would not be an ideal to be using the dagger. See, the warhorn has a lot of CC and also you know, swiftness, so you can move around the map faster. But because in the general PvE, I go from one place to the other quite frequently, so that's why I just prefer to have a permanent speed improvement from the sickness of the locust, which will permanently give me 25% movement speed on the map. So that's something that I like to have. And also whenever I activate the signet, it will steal the health from nearby foes, so it also acts as a survivability utility for me. Alright, so let's just get back to the yep, and the staff. Just a little bit of a demonstration of the staff. As you can see in here, it has a lot of mark, see, so that's AoE for you. So you can actually like use the staff spell to drop the mark on multiple locations. And so, you know, imagine if you have the mobs coming this way, these two will deal the condition damage on them, and also the other ones coming from the other side, it will also deal condition damage on them too. And because of that, you have a lot of AoE spells that you can use to tackle multiple mobs, and in return, the more mobs that you can attack, the reward system will reward you with more loot, and that's what I'm trying to have for this build. Alright, for the trinkets and accessory, I am using a Viper's pack piece. Now the Viper pack piece, you can use the blood ruby. You know, I can include the links down in the description where you can get them. And the Viper's amulet, the Viper accessories, the Viper ring, the Viper sinisters, and the Viper ring. Sorry, this one is the sinisters, and this one, the ring, is also sinisters. So the entire set is, including the weapons, is Vipers. The pack piece, amulet, first accessory, first ring, Vipers. The second accessory, sinisters, and the last ring will be sinisters. Why? Because I would like to have a little bit of the extra damage from the sinisters, and I already have a lot of condition duration already, so that's why I prefer to have an extra damage and extra critical chance. Alright, so what else? Oh yeah, if you don't have the, well, Blood Ruby is coming from Living Story Season 3. So at the time of me filming this video, Living Story Season 3 the first chapter of Living Story Season 3 is still available for free, so you can go ahead and activate that, and that will give you the access to the new map called the Bloodstone Fen, which is right here. I don't have the access of that one for my Necromancer, but I do have that one on my other characters. And this map right here will providing you with the Blood Ruby, as you can see from the reward. And the Blood Ruby, you can exchange that for the back piece, for the amulet, and for the ring, which is what I have in here, the Blood Ruby band. And the Blood Ruby can Blood Ruby equipments or accessories, should I say. You can exchange that for the stats of whatever you desire. So you can have Vipers, you can have any other ones, so it doesn't really matter. So that's something that if you have access to the Living Story Season 3, the first chapter, it will open for you the new map, so that you can get the equipments. Alright, Vipers, yeah. So 3 of them you can get them, 3 of them you can get them from the Bloodstone Fen map. Now for these 2, if you don't have access to the Living Story Season 2, which is where I got my Sinister from, you can replace these with Rampages. So alternatively to this accessories build, you can use the full Rampages. Don't go for anything else, just you go for full Rampages. The reason for that is because you need the damage, and you also need the condition damage and the critical chance to be able to deal the highest amount of damage. So if you don't have access to Vipers or Sinisters, just go full Rampages, nothing else. Alright, so next topic, next section actually, is about the specializations. Now for the specialization, I am using the first trait to be the curses, second one death magic, last one Reaper. Now for the curses, bottom, top, bottom, death magic, top, 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 Reaper, middle, bottom, middle. Now why am I using the bottom of the scepters? It's because of the chill. Now when I apply the chill effect on a target, it will also apply the bleeding as well because of the deathly chill from the Reaper. So that's why I'm having this one here. Second one, Master of Corruptions. So whenever I activate the utilities or the spells that is tailored to the corruption attribute, as you can see in here, that I have the utility of the Epidemic, which is classified as a corruption. So whenever I activate that, it will inflict the condition damage on me. Now you probably will be asking, like, why do I want to have a condition damage on me? Simple. It's because you want to transfer the condition damage of whatever condition damage that you have on you to the target. Now the beauty of this Scepter Dagger is because Dagger skill 4, which is right here, Deathly Swarm, you can transfer the condition damage that you have to the particular target, and not only that, it can also bounce up to 3 other targets. So number of bounce 3 other targets, as you can see in here. So that is the reason why having the condition damage on you, it's not necessarily mean a bad thing. It can actually mean really good, because you can transfer it to other targets, and because you will be dealing a lot of condition damage anyway. So the more condition damage stacks that you have on that target, the better, or multiple targets, that even better. Next one, Lingering Curse. So when I am using a Scepter, it will increase my condition damage by 150 and also increase the durations of my skills. So, and I'm using the Scepter, increase the damage to 1760. Makes sense. Oh, and by the way, I should be mentioning that the Scepter and the Dagger are primarily for a single target, but you can also use it for multiple targets at the same time too. So it's quite flexible for you to be swapping in between the first weapon set and the second weapon set. Now the staff is primarily for casting a lot of AoE spells on the ground, so that the mobs can come in and take the condition damage. So this one is more purely for AoE, and the other one is more designing to the a single target or limited amount of targets. But don't let that bother you, because you have to be swapping in between of the spells so that you can inflict more condition damage. So I highly recommend you to be swapping them in between. Alright, back to specializations. Now, the death magic. Now this one will provide you with a lot of survivability. Trust me on this. A lot of people will tell you that this is a must for majority of the game modes. So in the raid, we also use death magic. In dungeon run, we also use death magic. War v War, also the same. General PvE, like the video I'm doing right now, is also use death magic. Why? It's because of the first spell, the first attribute right here, Flash of the Master. Flash of the Master will provide you with the minions that that has the increase in health, or minions that have the increased health, but it can also gain bonus toughness for each minion that you control. So and also your health will increase by 50%, as you can see in here that I have about nearly 20,000 of the health points, which is quite a lot for a a full equipment of light type. See, light armor. So having 20,000 health points is a very good thing to have, so that it can increase your survivability when you do the general PvE. And also because I will be using a lot of minions, trust me. That is the whole reason why I have this summon Blood Fiend, and also have the Rise, which is summon the minions and additional minions for any enemies that I struck, for every enemy that I struck. So if you have 10 of them, that's like what? So let's see, 20 toughness for one of them, and if you have 20 of them, that will increase that to 200 toughness. So as you can see, you don't necessarily need to have a lot of survivability equipments and also utilities. You only need to have a certain amount, and that will cover the rest for you. Use purely on the basics of the death magic ability of what it can provide to you. I've been talking for all day long, so that's why my voice is a little bit anyway, moving on. Now the minions can deal more damage and also take condition damage from you. So again, it's more survivabilities, and also the minions, because the more minions that you have, the more damage that you can inflict onto the targets or multiple targets. So that's what is synchronized with this necromantic corruptions from the Rise and this one. And also for the Lich form, your elite spell, this one, that one will summon the skill from this elite spell that will summon the quite a number of minions to provide you with extra damage and survivability, which I will be showing you the rotation after this. Now, Poison Cloud. I'm sorry, not Poison Cloud, but Death Nova. So whenever a minion explodes, it would drop down on the ground a Poison Cloud that would deal poison condition damage. So again, more damage to you, more survivability. So the more minion that you have, the more toughness that you have. And whenever a minion dies, it will also deal extra damage on top of what they already been done. So it's very, very, very good. It's so powerful that it just make it, like I was actually at one point I was actually thinking that the Necromancer is one of the most like overpowered class in the game. All right, next one, Reaper. I'm using the Chilling Nova, so critical hits against chill foes cause an explosion that chills other foes. So combine that one, it's more like AoE oriented. Combine between this one and the Deathly Chill, it will provide more conditions, bleeding condition damage stacks on the mobs, and so that's something that you would want to have. You want to have more condition damage spread around. And the defenses, well, striking a foe with vulnerability increase your critical chances, and again, that synchronized with the critical hits, and that was synchronized with the Deadly Chills, so chill damage over time in the form of bleedings. So that's something. All right, now next point, alternative. Now for any reason, if you don't have the access to harder phones, or you're looking at other ways to use the Necromancer just for fun or for any other reason, I also have another alternative for you to be using. But please keep in mind that this is what I highly recommend you to go for, the Reaper. The second one is tailored to the Blood Magic. Now, Blood Magic to me is more of a survivability and providing support to your team. Is it purely because that will provide the signet of vampirisms, which will synchronize the healing between your allies. So the light is siphoned on the target between the players. So the more people attacking it, the more they can heal themselves. So that's what I usually use when I go roaming around. Second one, Life from Death. Heal and partially revive allies in an area when you exit Shroud. Now Shroud is from this one right here, the special actions from F1. Now when you use the Shroud, you will transform yourself into a mystical being, and this one will have a different skill set. Not only that, it will providing you with the different skill set, but it also providing you with another bar of life force. And so you can have 20,000 in here and plus another 13,000, so that's like what, 35,000 in total, approximately 35,000 in total for your health points. So that is really good for the Necromancer, and because of that, you don't really need to have a lot of survivability aspect built into your utilities and your equipments, because that the specialization Death Magic and Blood Magic can cover that. But the Death Magic can cover that, and also for the Reaper, let's go back to the Reaper. The Reaper also have Shroud too, and it can provide you with another 13,500 health points. So regardless of of what specs you are running, you still have an extra 13,500 health points for you to be using whenever you're running out of health. Alright, back to the Blood Magic. And so when you are using this, when you exit the Shroud, you can heal and partially revive allies in an area when you exit Shroud. So that's really good when it comes to meta events that you see a lot of people are dying. Last one, transfusions. Now, why am I using transfusion? Look at the skill. Shroud number 4 will teleport all of the allies nearby you. The radius is about 600, and the teleport distance is 600. So when a meta event, when you see a lot of people down, you just entering the Shroud like I did just now. Use skill number 4. It will group them up, teleport to you, so you can revive them, and on top of that, they can partially revive the nearby allies as well. So it just it just provides the support for the team members when it comes to meta events. And so combining with this one right here, Life from Death, when you exit it, it can also provide you an extra support on top of what you already have when you entering the Shroud or when you're in the Shroud form. So that's something that I have for the alternatives for the specializations. But like I said, I would prefer to be going with this right here. Alright, so for the next one, I'll be talking about the utilities and what are the options that you can use. For the Reaper, you will be using, what I prefer to use is the Blood Fiend, because it can provide you with the increase in the minions, and that results in more toughness. Rise, as I already mentioned, that. Lich Form, Transform. See this? Mark of Horror. So increase the mark that summon 5 horrors when a foe triggered. So I can drop it in here, and when a foe coming over, that will be 5 horrors, and that will result in more damage for me, and that's what I prefer to have. I don't consider any other ones because I prefer to have the Lich Forms so that I can summon more minions. But if you would like to have the Flesh Golem, or Chill to the Bone, or Plague, that's fine. But highly recommend for you to be using the Lich Form because of that. Second one. Well, sorry, not second one, but for this one, Epidemic. Now, why? I can guarantee you that a lot of people would recommend you to have the Epidemic. Why is that? Look at the description of the item, of the utility. It's apply the vulnerability on yourself, and it will spread the conditions on a target foe to all nearby foes. And the range is 1200, 1200. That is massive. Why do you have to have this one, and why it is a must for so many occasions? It is purely because when you attack a single target, you inflict the condition damage on that target, right? And on top of that, the other people will be attacking the target at the same time too. And imagine that you have a lot of people, putting in the condition damage on that target, and then you just activate this. It will copy all of that conditions, and it will transfer to the entire range of 1200. And any mobs that within that target range will be inflicted by the condition damage from that single target. So from a single target, you can deal damage to multiple targets at the same time. So that is the reason why it is so insane to be using this skill. It's so good. It is so good. And when you inflict the condition damage on yourself, or sorry, not condition damage, it doesn't inflict condition damage on you, but it increases the conditioned tap on you. So 3% increase in incoming damage and 3% increase in incoming condition damage, and also it weakens yourself by 50% in endurance generation and 50% in fumble. Now, but you can transfer that into the conditions that you have to the target, and that will bounce to the other targets. So you don't, it's not much. Like this one will not deal damage to you, but it will reduce your endurance and it will make you weaker. But in saying that, it should not be that great of a concern, because it doesn't deal any damage to you, and you can transfer the conditions that you have from epidemic to the target foes anyway. And also for the staff one, look at this one, inscribe a mark that transfers conditions from yourself to foes when they trigger it. So again, you have two skill that can transfer the condition damage to the target foes, so don't stress about it. Alright, so for the blood is magic, because you don't have the rise anymore, so what I usually use is the blood is power. So aside from the blood is power, there are some other considerations that I have taken into account as well, and I have been swapping to them quite frequently, as a matter of fact, depending on the encounter that I am facing. So blood is power. Second one, poison cloud. Third one is the bone minions. Sometimes summon flesh worm, and sometimes I even use the web corruptions on some of the very, very specific occasions that I'll be using the web corruptions, and also the web of power as well. These two, I will use them, but on special occasion. But it does also provide you with the breakstone for the web power. So that's something that you may consider when you're facing some special scenario. And this one I don't use that, but if you want to use this one and transfer the condition damage to the foe, feel free. But the ones that I use the most, if I were to use the blood magic, I'll be using blood is power, or poison cloud, or summon minions. So those are the three that I will be swapping interchangeably. And for the Reapers, which is what I usually, which is most of the time I just use the Reaper. So if I'm using the Reaper, I will be using Rise, but then I also swap to Blood is Power, Poison Cloud, and Bone Minions, and sometimes these two in some of the very specific occasions. This one, yeah, it's also good, but I prefer to have the Rise more, because it's not only dealing damage to the single target, but when it dies, when a minion dies, it will drop down the poison cloud on the target, and so it would deal more poison damage on that particular on that target, and also for other targets as well. So let me just quickly show you the rotations. And on that note, for the food, I will be using for general PvE. I'll just be using the one that can increase your magic fight, which I think I will put out a box on the top right hand corner, so you can see what sort of food I'm using. So for general PvE, I'll be using the Magic 5 food anyway and utilities, because you know, I deal a lot of damage and I also have enough sustainability on myself, so there's no reason for me to go, you know, increasing more damage or anything like that at all. I prefer to swap those for a more chance of getting a better reward, better loot from the game. So a quick rotations. Now in the general PvE, unlike in raid, you have the flexibility of swapping the rotation around without, you know, without damaging, you know, the raid or anything like that. So it's because it's very flexible, so please keep that in mind, that these I just provide you a guideline on how you should be using the rotation. You don't necessarily have to follow it, because like in practical situation you'll be facing with a lot of things that that are different, that unpredictable, and so you have to respond to those events. And because of that, I would not, you know, I prefer not to force you to be using this rotation. I'm just providing it to you to give you some sort of an idea on what sort of things that I use, and also trying to maximize the damage. So that's what I'm trying to do. So first thing first, I will have the staff, and I am using the Reaper Strap. All right, someone borrow. Alright, using the number 2, that's fine. Swap. Inflict, jumping tie, summon the minion, so there's a lot of minion swap to the scepter and dagger, inflict more condition damage, and as you can see in here, there's a lot of condition damage. Okay, then epidemic, spread them around. After you spread them around, and just passing on your condition to the other foes, and then turn into Reaper style, number 2 first, and number 5, and after that, and fear. Come back, and then back to the normal rotation, swap to the staff, then you swap to the staff, using that again. And when you have enough of the conditions, or have you you know, decent amount, epidemic, and that will inflict the condition to multiple foes. So this is in PvP, and in PvP I am using Rune of the Nightmare, which is not good. Where is the... it's pay. I don't want to pay for it. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But you get the idea of the rotation anyway. So this is I'm using the PvP environment to show you how the rotation should be carried out. So by all means, you don't have to follow it, because like, depending on the situation, sometimes you are facing with mobs that, you know, might not be good for epidemic, because epidemic is about spreading condition to the mobs around. So when you are facing a single target like this one, it might not be that so it might not be, you know, reaching its full potential, but that's fine, because like you know, usually in the meta events, the boss or the mobs usually have a lot of mobs around, and because of that, you know, epidemic is, you can spread it to other mobs to try to kill them faster, so it's not really that big of a deal. All right, can I swap to Blood is Power? I can't. I need to get out of combat. Oh, come on, man. This is a waste of time. Alright. Back. Blood is Power. And I am... For a single target, I would prefer to use a Blood is Power for Blood Magic threat. Otherwise, I'll be using the Poison Cloud. So because I'm facing multiple targets at the same time, so I'll be using Poison Cloud. And again, summon Blood Fiend, and because I already used my Lich form, so you know the rotation anyway. Or actually, let's wait for it to, you know, 5 more seconds. 4 more, 2 more, 1 more. Done. All right. Transform. 4. Number 2, done. Get out. Staff, inflict, and poisons. And then epidemic and subtract. Sub here, inflict poisons. Alright. transform. Now the style for the blood is magic is not what I prefer to use on the regular basics, purely on the fact that because of the transfusions, and you know, you can use it. I'm not saying that you can't, but it's just more, you know, depending on the situation, of course, that you may find that, you know, your allies is about to die, so you might prefer to save your Stroud for later use. Otherwise, just feel free to use it as much as you can, because as you can see in here, it might have, like, you know, this is a inflicting the fear so that they will run around, and this one also deal the bleeding damage as well, and also this one will provide you with a lot of sustainability, you know, getting your health up, and then the last one will inflict the torment condition damage on the foe. See, blast. So, you know, it's flexibility. You can also swap to the other ones and use them interchangeably, but again, I don't use the blood magic that often, because I prefer to use the Ripper rather than the other ones. Alright, so that's it for the Necromancer build for general PvE. If you have any feedback, feel free to give it to me down in the comments, and I'm looking. I'll look forward to you. I'll look forward to seeing you in my other videos for the general PvE builds. Aside from that, have fun, enjoy, and take care.